Dearly beloved, I'm very happy to welcome you to the second episode of our Lenten Catechesis. And tonight we shall be reflecting on Lent, childhood, and the Bible. Now, the reason why we're reflecting on the theme of childhood, as I said last week, is practically because in the Archdiocese of Accra, our theme for the entire year is focused on childhood. And indeed, we're reading, we wish to see Jesus from John chapter 12, verse 21 as our theme for the year. And that is why in this second episode, we want to look at the theme of Lent, childhood, and the Bible. Now, to do that, we will be doing tonight two main passages of Scripture. We shall be studying two passages of Scripture in depth. And the first one will be Lenten lessons from the Bible's first children, Genesis chapter 4, 1 to 15. Over there, we shall be discussing the story of Cain and Abel, and we shall see what we can learn from the Bible's first children, the sons of Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel. The second thing we shall be looking at is when the child gets lost, returning, restoring, and reconciliation. We shall be taking that from Luke's Gospel, chapter 15. So this is what we shall be doing tonight. First, Lenten lessons from the Bible's first children, Genesis chapter 4, and when the child gets lost, returning, restoring, and reconciliation. Now, beloved, tonight we want to begin with the story of Cain and Abel. And what can we learn from the Bible's first children? Now, the story of Cain and Abel in the Bible is a very, very interesting story. Why actually did Cain kill his brother Abel? It is not very clear. In fact, if we read from the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 11, reading from verse 4, it says, "By faith, Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, through which he received approval as righteous, God bearing witness by accepting his gifts." This is Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4. So according to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4, it seems as if Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice. Now, if you go again into 1 John chapter 3, reading from verse 12, it says, "And do not be like Cain, who was of the evil one, and murdered his brother. And why did he murder him? Because his own deeds were evil, and his brother's righteous." And you can see that from the two passages that we've read from Hebrews and from 1 John, there are actually different reasons assigned to the reason why Cain killed Abel. According to the letter to the Hebrews, it appears as if Abel's offering was more acceptable than Cain's offering. But if you read from 1 John chapter 3, it says that it was because Cain's deeds were evil and his brother's righteous. What exactly is the reason why Cain killed Abel? In the passage from Genesis chapter 4 itself, it is not very clear. In fact, no explicit reason is given. But we need to dig a little deeper to be able to find out if we can understand and if we can learn any lessons during this Lent from the Bible's first children.